Have you ever looked at your pill organizer and thought, how did I end up taking so many of these? One for sleep, one for pain, one for blood pressure, maybe another to deal with the side effects of the first one. It starts to add up. And it's not just you. Most seniors over 65 are taking multiple prescriptions every single day. Some are lifesavers, no doubt about it. But others? Well, they could be doing more harm than good, and you might not even realize it. See, what's often overlooked is that as we get older, our bodies change in ways that affect how we respond to medications. Our kidneys and liver work a bit slower, our muscle mass shifts, and we can become more sensitive to side effects. A pill that worked perfectly fine in your 50s might suddenly cause dizziness, confusion, or even falls in your 70s. And yet, many of these medications are still handed out like candy without a second thought about how they impact older adults specifically. That's why this conversation matters. Not to scare you, but to empower you. You have the right to know what you're putting in your body, how it might be affecting you now that you're a little older, and what safer options might be available. Because when you're informed, you can walk into your doctor's office with confidence and ask the right questions. Today, we're talking about 7 of the most dangerous medications for seniors and the alternatives that may work better. You won't need to memorize a long list or learn any medical jargon. I'll keep it simple, and I'll explain everything in a way that's easy to understand and apply to your own life. Let's begin with something incredibly common. Sleep aids. You know the ones, those little pills that promise to help you drift off peacefully. Maybe you've taken something over the counter like diphenhydramine, which is often found in brands like Benadryl or nighttime cold medicine. Or maybe your doctor prescribed you a sleep medication, something like Zolpidem, better known as Ambien. Now, I completely understand the appeal. When you're lying in bed, wide awake at 2 a.m., staring at the ceiling, the promise of a pill that makes it all go away is tempting. But here's the problem. These medications often cause grogginess the next day, memory problems, and worst of all, a much higher risk of falls, especially in the middle of the night. That broken hip you hear about so often? Many times it starts with a fall after one of these pills. And the scary part? These drugs can hang around in your system longer than you think. You may feel fine in the morning but still be impaired, just enough to miss a step or lose your balance. So what's the alternative? Many seniors are having great success with natural wind-down routines instead. Things like guided breathing, soft music, a warm shower before bed, or herbal teas like chamomile. Cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, CBTI, has also been shown to be just as effective as pills, but without the side effects. If that sounds intimidating, don't worry. Some versions are even available online or through apps, and they walk you through the process step by step. Now, let's shift to another common medication that's quietly causing problems: anticholinergics. That's a big word, but what it means is medications that block a certain brain chemical, acetylcholine. This class includes drugs for allergies, bladder control, and even depression. You might be surprised to learn that medications like some antihistamines, certain antidepressants, or even bladder meds like oxybutynin fall into this category. Here's the issue. When we block that brain chemical in older adults, it can lead to confusion, constipation, blurred vision, and a faster decline in memory and thinking. It's subtle at first. Maybe you feel a little foggy. Maybe you walk into a room and forget why. But over time, that mental fog gets thicker, and it's easy to mistake it for aging when in fact, it could be a side effect. A better approach? For allergies, consider non-drowsy antihistamines like loratadine, which don't cross into the brain as much. For bladder issues, lifestyle changes like pelvic floor exercises or timed bathroom visits might reduce the need for medication entirely, or at least allow for a lower, safer dose. And when it comes to depression, newer antidepressants with fewer anticholinergic effects are often a better fit for seniors. And then there's pain relief, specifically non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, or NSAIDs, like ibuprofen or naproxen. You might use them for arthritis, back pain, or just to take the edge off after a long day. But here's what's not always talked about. These drugs can irritate your stomach lining, raise your blood pressure, and even increase your risk of kidney damage or bleeding, especially if you're taking them regularly or at high doses. If you're reaching for these medications more days than not, it's time to check in with your doctor. They might recommend switching to acetaminophen, which is easier on your stomach and kidneys, or even exploring non-drug options like physical therapy, gentle movement like Tai Chi, or topical pain relievers that stay out of your bloodstream entirely. The bottom line is this: just because a medication is common doesn't mean it's harmless. And just because it was right for you 10 years ago doesn't mean it's right for you now. Your body has changed, and your treatment plan should reflect that. The good news is, there are almost always safer options out there. Sometimes it's a different drug, sometimes it's a different dose, and sometimes it's a non-drug approach that works even better. Now let's talk about something a little more sensitive, but really important. It's a category of medications many people start taking after a surgery, an injury, or even just after years of chronic pain wearing them down. Opioids. You've probably heard the term tossed around in the news, and for good reason. Drugs like hydrocodone, oxycodone, morphine, and others are incredibly powerful and can also be incredibly dangerous if not used carefully. Here's the tricky part: they do work. That's why doctors prescribe them. They can take the edge off intense pain, especially right after surgery, but when used long-term, especially in older adults, the risks begin to outweigh the benefits very quickly. Your tolerance builds, meaning you need more for the same effect. Your risk of falls and fractures goes up. Constipation becomes a regular battle. And worst of all, your mind may start to feel dull or disconnected. Some people even become dependent without realizing it. If you've been using opioids for a while, please don't be hard on yourself. You're not alone, and there's no shame. But it's worth talking to your doctor about tapering down slowly or exploring alternatives. Depending on the type of pain you're dealing with, there may be safer options: nerve pain medications, patches, targeted injections, or even non-drug therapies like acupuncture or physical therapy. The key is creating a plan that works for you, not trying to tough it out or go cold turkey on your own. Now, speaking of medications that impact the brain, there's another group that deserves attention: benzodiazepines. These are drugs like diazepam, Valium, lorazepam, Ativan, and alprazolam, Xanax, often prescribed for anxiety, stress, or trouble sleeping. And again, they're effective. That's why so many people end up relying on them. They can calm you down, help you feel more relaxed, and quiet the racing thoughts at night. But the catch is, for seniors, these medications can act like a mental fog. Over time, they slow your reaction time, increase the risk of confusion, and raise your chances of falling. And the longer you take them, the harder they can be to stop. Some people describe it like trying to get off a moving train. You know you need to, but it feels impossible to slow it down safely. If that rings true for you, don't panic. There are ways to wean off these medications slowly with your doctor's help so you don't feel worse in the process. And there are gentler approaches to managing anxiety that don't come with the same risks. Things like guided meditation, support groups, therapy, and certain non-sedating antidepressants have helped many people feel calmer without the sedation. Another medication that often flies under the radar is digoxin, sometimes prescribed for heart conditions like atrial fibrillation or heart failure. It's been around for decades, and while it can be helpful in specific situations, it needs to be monitored very closely, especially in older adults. The line between a helpful dose and a toxic one can be razor thin. And if your kidneys aren't clearing it properly, the drug can build up in your system and cause serious side effects, like nausea, vision problems, or dangerous heart rhythms. The challenge is that some seniors have been on digoxin for years without ever having it reevaluated. It becomes part of the background noise of their daily routine. But medicine isn't one size fits all, and what worked at 65 might not be the best fit at 75. The safer path? Regular medication reviews with your doctor, ideally every 6 months. Ask, do I still need this? Are there better options now? Is this still the safest choice for me? And here's a little bonus tip. If you haven't already, ask your doctor or pharmacist for what's called a brown bag review. You literally gather all your medications, prescriptions, over-the-counter pills, vitamins, supplements, and bring them in. Someone reviews everything you're taking to see if there are any dangerous interactions, duplications, or medications that might not be needed anymore. You'd be amazed how many people discover they're taking two medications that cancel each other out, or that a supplement they thought was harmless is interfering with a heart drug. This kind of review is simple, and it could save you from future complications that no one saw coming. You see, the real danger with medications isn't always in the dose, it's in the combination. One pill might be fine on its own, but mix it with a few others, especially in a body that's changed over the years, and suddenly things can get complicated fast. That's why it's so important to have someone on your side who knows what to look for, and why you asking questions makes all the difference. Because here's the truth no one tells you. Many older adults are quietly dealing with side effects they assume are just getting older. Feeling tired all the time? Could be your medication, forgetful, could be the pills. Unsteady on your feet? That too. But unless you bring it up, most doctors won't automatically suspect the meds. They might chalk it up to age. That's why your voice matters more than ever. You know your body. You know when something feels off. And with just a few questions, you can help your doctor see the full picture. You can help your doctor see the full picture. Because here's something most people don't realize. Medications aren't just about what's written on the label. They're about how they work in your body now, not how they worked 10 years ago. Your system has changed. You're likely more sensitive to side effects. Your kidneys, liver, and brain process things differently. That doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're wise to ask, is this still the best choice for me? Now, there's one more category we need to talk about before we wrap up, and it's one that a surprising number of seniors are still taking. Proton pump inhibitors, also called PPIs. These are drugs like omeprazole or pantoprazole, and they're commonly used to treat heartburn, acid reflux, or GERD. They can feel like magic. Take one little pill, and the burning in your chest disappears. And for short-term use, they can be incredibly helpful. But here's where it gets tricky. Many people start taking these drugs, and then just never stop. Months turn into years, and before you know it, your body has adjusted to having them. The problem? Long-term use of PPIs in older adults has been linked to a higher risk of nutrient deficiencies, especially magnesium, calcium, and vitamin B12. These nutrients play a huge role in muscle function, bone strength, and energy levels. Deficiencies can make you feel weak, foggy, or even cause dangerous imbalances in your heart rhythm. Some studies have also shown that being on PPIs too long may increase the risk of kidney disease or certain infections, especially in hospitals or care homes. And again, most people have no idea. They're just trying to avoid heartburn. They think it's harmless, but that little purple pill could be quietly causing more issues than it's solving. So what can you do? First, don't just stop cold turkey. That can actually make your symptoms come back worse for a few days or weeks. Instead, talk to your doctor about tapering off slowly. You might switch to an H2 blocker like famotidine, which tends to be gentler and is safer for long-term use. Even better, look into natural approaches, smaller meals, avoiding trigger foods like caffeine or spicy dishes, and not lying down right after eating. Every situation is different, but the point is, you have options. And many of them are safer, simpler, and more effective in the long run. When we pull all of this together, something really important starts to become clear. This video isn't about fear, It's not about blaming doctors or tossing all your pills in the trash. It's about taking your health into your hands, with knowledge, with questions, and with the confidence to say, I deserve to feel good. It's about looking at that crowded pill organizer and asking, are all of these still necessary? It's about knowing that dizziness, confusion, fatigue, or poor sleep might not be just aging. They might be fixable. And it's about remembering that your voice matters. That short, honest conversations with your doctor can change your treatment plan for the better. The truth is, you've made it this far in life with strength, experience, and resilience. That's something to be proud of. And part of staying strong now means taking a second look at what you're putting into your body every day. You wouldn't keep driving a car with the wrong kind of fuel. So why treat your body any differently? Maybe you're already doing some of this. Great. Maybe you haven't thought about it until now. That's okay too. What matters is what you do next. And here's what I suggest. Pick just one medication you're curious about. Look it up. Write down how it makes you feel. At your next appointment, ask your doctor, do I still need this? Is there a safer option? That single step could open the door to better sleep, more energy, sharper thinking, or fewer side effects. You deserve to feel clear, steady, and fully present in your life. You deserve care that's tailored to who you are right now, not who you were 20 years ago. And if this video helped shine a light on something for you, even just one thing, please let me know in the comments. Have you ever discovered that a medication you were taking was actually making you feel worse? Have you tried switching to a safer alternative that worked better? Your story could help someone else realize they're not alone, and that change is possible. If you found this video helpful, give it a like, and consider subscribing to the channel. We're building a community here where we talk honestly about health, aging, and how to feel better every day, without the scare tactics or confusing medical speak. Here's to taking charge, feeling strong, and living wisely at every stage of life. Small changes can make a big difference, and it starts with knowing what to ask. You've got this. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.